Hey yo, what's going on everyone? This is your host, Tarad Rashawn, and you are now tuned into Taradcast. For all of the brand new listeners out there listening to our show for the very first time, welcome. And for all of you returning listeners, happy that we are back on the airwaves. I just want to say welcome back. Now at Taradcast, you can take everything we say with a grain of salt. We simply just want to add some flavor to your meal. So if we are doing that, then we are doing our job. Today's episode is about a topic that to me is something that I've had to truly learn and hone in on and concentrate on in order to give me the understanding of myself that I have today. And I can't wait to talk about this topic with you all. So without further ado, today's episode topic is the obscurity of emotional maturity. This is Taradcast. Let's get it. What is good, y'all? Again, this is your host, Tarad Rashawn, and we are back. We are continuing on our conversation from last week's episode, and we're just going to pick up where we left off. I'm not going to do the housekeeping. I just want to get straight into it because this conversation is a conversation that is so worth having, and it has so many layers that if it's not talked about, so many people will miss out on it. And so I hope that you are sharing this episode with friends, family, loved ones, all of that, because for me, it is something that I spent a lot of time thinking about. And I'm not saying this from the standpoint of share it because I said to do it, but to share it because it is something that really needs to be talked about. It really needs to be a topic of discussion. It needs to be something that is put into practice and put into play in all of our interactions, because we will save ourselves so much trouble if we actually start thinking about what emotional maturity really means. And with that being said, I want to talk about the obscurity of emotional maturity in Black men. And again, like I said last episode, I feel that as a Black man, so many of us don't even take time to think about what this means, to take time to think about what this can do for us. And so I want to talk about this because it is so important. It's so vital. It's so necessary. So I guess you can call this the unofficial yet official part 2. So as a Black man, we're often taught that having emotions towards something makes you weak. It makes you soft. It makes you, well, a Black man's favorite, especially growing up. It makes you gay in the Black community. And the thing is, if you are a little boy, hell, even if you are a man and somebody calls you gay, that is the worst thing you could ever be called. Am I lying? No, I am not lying. I'm not. I know I'm not lying. I've heard it. I've been called this just for simply having emotions. It's crazy. I was always an emotional kid growing up. I was. And I was glad that I had some free range to experience those emotions. But for so many of us, being hard, being emotionless is the way to go. And I find that to be one of the biggest slights that we can put on our children, both our Black boys and our Black girls. It is something that will stunt them. It will stunt them in so many ways. And because it will stunt them, it will carry over into their relationships with other people. It's crazy. You know, like I want to talk about the ridicule that's associated with caring, the ridicule that's associated with having emotions. Because if you feel in any way, you are looked at, especially as a black man, you are looked at as being more feminine. Well, I remember when I was a kid, there was this song that I had listened to. It was a song from a video game, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And it was a song that played when you beat the game. And Sonic is basically free falling from the sky. And his partner, Tails, shows up on the airplane and he lands on it, and they basically fly off into the sunset. And it was like you know, something along those lines. You know, y'all didn't come here to hear me hum and sing. But I remember listening to that. I was at my cousin's house and I was playing on his Sega Genesis, and I went to the sound test option and I heard that song, and I remember just crying because I thought it was beautiful. I thought that this song was beautiful. And you know, my cousins didn't see me in that moment. They didn't, you know, hear me crying or anything like that, just listening to it. But I remember being like 5 or 6 years old and just allowing myself to just feel that song. Like it was completely overwhelming for me as a kid. Like I hadn't heard anything so beautiful in my life at that point. I remember, like, you know, literally replaying this song in my adult years one day. And that moment came back and I cried again. Because to this day, that song still has that impact on me. And I love it because even though it is a bunch of video game sounds, it had something that spoke to me. It had something I could feel. And I allowed myself to feel it. Now imagine if I was in that moment and, you know, other people saw me just breaking down in that moment. And they're like, "Boy, why are you crying?" You know, just stuff like that. Like, you crying over a song? And it's just, but why not? Why not? I don't think it's right to stop people from feeling. To stop people from experiencing things that truly impact their emotions. There's nothing wrong with just allowing yourself to be in that moment and to feel what needs to be felt, even if it means that tears flow because of it. We're always trying to stop people from feeling. We're always trying to stop people from just letting go and allowing something as natural as tears to fall. We're always trying to keep people from being moved by something. And when me and my wife talk, I feel like we're reaching an age where people don't want to truly feel anymore. And I remember just growing up, like, so many people were not allowed to cry. I had rarely seen my dad cry. I've only seen him cry on like 5 or 6 occasions. And half of those were funerals. And it's okay to cry there. Somebody's gone. Somebody passed away. They're not here anymore. I get that. But I don't think I've ever seen my dad cry from something beautiful. And the thing is, I find that to be incredibly sad. And I love my dad, I do. But I can only imagine the things that he was not allowed to just simply feel. Because it would have been looked at as womanly to do so. And because thought processes like that exist, there is little room for a lot of us to just be in a moment and to just allow that moment to take us where it wants to take us. We are so hell-bent on creating this image of strength where nothing can penetrate it, nothing can break it. But yet, we don't spend the same amount of time teaching how if you are able to just feel something, this means that you can connect with that something. And when you connect with it, you have a deeper appreciation for it. I hate how caring, feeling. I hate how these things, according to us, make us look more feminine in the eyes of those who consider themselves masculine. Because they're, to me, and this is only to me, they are living in this world as only half of a person. And that's why a lot of men, a lot of us men, do not know how to relate to women. That's why a lot of us don't know how to communicate. That's why a lot of us don't know how to feel unless somebody dies. And that is crazy to me. That is extremely, absolutely, positively crazy to me to think about. Because so many of us are living as half of a person because we have been beaten down by the stick of masculinity to where we wear those scars proudly. Yet we have no earthly way of relating to a woman at all. Like, does that not blow your mind? Does it not blow your mind? Because to me, emotional maturity comes from mastering the divine feminine. Now, I've talked about the divine masculine and the divine feminine in episodes past. And to me, I am of the belief that both men and women possess both a divine masculine and a divine feminine. But in many cases, black men are not taught what it means to master the divine feminine that's within them. They'd rather eradicate it. They would rather blot it out They'd rather pretend like it doesn't exist at all. And because of that, it leads to so many instances where we as men do not have any ability whatsoever. Whose loud ass truck is that? Jeez. Are you overcompensating for something? Anyway, it leads us to a point where we have no idea of how to truly understand and relate to women, because they are by nature masters of emotion. Most of us men, we run away from anything that looks, sounds, or feels feminine. Again, like I was saying before, the worst thing that a black boy or a black man could be called is gay. Because how can you be a man but be out here acting like a woman? What does that look like? What are you saying? What are you doing? And this is in no way, shape, form, or fashion me talking down on any member of the LGBTQIA plus community. This is solely and specifically talking about those of us who were ridiculed and put down and talked about and shamed and guilted out of feeling, out of caring, because it ran the risk of compromising our masculinity. Like this is one of the heaviest things. It's one of the heaviest things about who we are. And because it's so heavy, it is a literal ball and chain around our ankle that keeps us moving at the slowest pace. And when we finally get to an age where we realize that all of that was for nothing, we're in our 50s, our 60s, our 70s, looking back at our lives with regret. Because we did not take the time to just feel. We didn't take the time to care. Especially caring as deeply as our women do. And now we want to spout all this knowledge and all this wisdom and help the generations behind us. But at the same time, we've done so much damage to where a lot of these words fall on deaf ears. Because now that we're saying it, now that we've realized it, it's too late. People have already formed their personalities. People have already become set in their way, and they are navigating the world now. So a lot of this information becomes irrelevant when we get that old. And so understanding what that means now will save us a lot of trouble. Because just thinking about the fact that so many of us run away from any and all things that look, sound, feel, appear to be feminine. There are so many rifts in communication and understanding others. There's so many things that go unaddressed because we simply lack the emotional fortitude to understand. Even in our relationships, like I was talking about last episode, like arguing, understanding another's perspective, being able to dial in and see where they're coming from, understand where they're coming from, even if you don't agree, taking time to acknowledge it and respect it. That says so much because you're taking time to listen. When it comes to communication, 10% is speaking, 90% is listening and understanding. And so even when it comes to our relationships, emotional maturity will put you in a place where you are absorbing the information that is being presented to you. You are thinking about the information that's being presented to you. And you're weighing it with how you feel. You're weighing it against what you believe. You're finding the merit in what's being said. You are validating this person's words and experiences and feelings. And you are showing respect for that, even if you don't agree. You are at least giving it the respect that it deserves, because this is a whole person who is seeing things, who is seeing life, who is seeing you from their perspective. And to give that merit is to allow someone else to truly feel heard. Like, you don't know how many people's lives you would change if you just simply listened and thought about what was being said, what was being communicated, what was being conveyed to you. So many problems would have far less, far fewer harsh outcomes if we took time to listen and respect what was being said. Because someone's perspective is based on what they've seen, what they've experienced, what they've gone through, why they have been brought to these conclusions based on your actions or your perception of your actions. Understanding that there is a reason why they see you this way. Taking accountability for that and owning it, and then responding instead of reacting because you feel challenged. Like, honestly, that creates empathy. That creates empathetic people. And being empathetic can literally be a superpower. It can. Because so many people will truly and honestly feel like they can speak with you. They will feel like they can be honest with you. And to be frank, that is one of the greatest things that you can get from a person. Because if someone feels like all they can do is lie to you, you will never know the true person that exists within. Just really take time to think about that. Really take time to understand what that means. Because for a lot of us men, we pride ourselves on our ego. Yet we are ready and more than willing to destroy someone once that very same ego and pride is challenged or put on blast. Like, there is no reason why we should be so quick to anger the way that we are. Like it is crazy. It's crazy. I look at so many of us, and we are desperately trying to escape from situations because we do not want to bear the weight of our own actions. Because to do that means to first acknowledge that we were wrong. That's a pain in and of itself that a lot of us do not want to experience. But we have to acknowledge that we're wrong. And then second, we have to come to terms. We have to come to reckoning with that. And the fact that what we did had a ripple effect that affected another person. Like, we do not want to deal with that. That will destroy us. So a lot of us will do everything that we can to hurt someone else more, so the hurt that we feel will be lessened. Like, if that is the most backwards, you know what? I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. But it's true. It's true. We are so quick to put others down in order to preserve our feelings of justification. Like, this is the gaslighting I was talking about. You know, there was a situation that I just read about. Dude from Migos and Saweetie saying that she came in and caught him cheating on her, but yet he basically slammed her for catching himself cheating. And y'all already know how I feel about cheating anyway, and the layers and the types of cheating that really matter. But seeing that, I'm just like, oh, wow. I even saw this meme where it was like Future crowning this dude with a crown. And I'm just like, that was the funniest thing ever, because it is, I don't know, it is crazy. It is crazy what we will do as men, as black men, to preserve how we feel, to preserve our pride and ego, even when we are in the wrong. We will preserve our justification for our actions. And we will fight tooth and nail for that preservation. Like, at this point, to me, it's comical, because you're telling on yourself. You are showing the world your complete and utter lack of emotional maturity. It's also amazing how quick we are to hit below the belt to make someone hurt more than we hurt. Again, the fact that we will sit here and we will write down and remember every little and big thing that someone does to us, and then we will unleash it. We will take bits and pieces of someone's darkened past, and we will weaponize those things against them so that they will hurt more than we are hurting. Because somehow, some way, we have rationalized it in our heads that, well, if I'm hurt, if they're hurting more than I am, then I'm gonna be okay. I'm like, don't you see that you are completely obliterating people by doing that? Like, you know, I know a man never wants to be hit in his nuts. Like, never, because that will cripple him. He falls to his knees. He becomes incredibly vulnerable, especially to an uppercut. You know, this is what I'm talking about when I say hit below the belt. That's what I mean. But the thing is, we will do it. We will do it, especially to our women. We will do it to our women. We will hit them below the belt. So that way, we don't have to feel as vulnerable as what we are making them feel in that moment. I don't know. I just find it crazy now, especially now that I'm at a point where I'm really starting to understand what emotional maturity means. Because a lot of us are also incredibly quick to dismiss feelings that don't align with ours. Just completely dismiss them. Again, we don't take another person's perception of us and our actions into consideration all that often. And because we don't, we continue just moseying about in this world, thinking that our way is the right way because it's at least got us this far, right? But no, the moment that you cut yourself off from learning about other people, seeing other people, knowing other people and their lives, the way that they operate, the way that they feel, the moment you do that is the moment that you die as a person. You know, a lot of people, who said this? Was it Drake? A lot of people are living, but very few of them are alive. And so the moment that you do that, you just become a shell of a person. All you are is the sum of your actions. And you continue to act that way. And that's all you become. It's all you become. And it's how you will forever remain. Like, you know, as black men, thinking this way, operating this way, will forever have us downplaying the validity of a woman's feelings. Because a lot of us look at women as lesser and weak, while we view ourselves as superior. And again, this leads to all kinds of miscommunications and misunderstandings in all of our relationships. It does. It does. Because we lack the emotional maturity to understand our women. We look at them as crazy. We look at them as emotional. And I when you understand the power of emotions, you understand how a lot of people operate. Again, this is something that I had to learn, even within myself, so that way I could better communicate with those that I love. So that way I wouldn't be speaking to them from a standpoint of limited understanding. Putting myself in their shoes, seeing me through their eyes, knowing that my actions have contributed to the vast array of emotions they are feeling in that moment. I've had to learn that. I've had to put in the conscious effort to understand what that means. Because the last thing that I want to do is continuously be misunderstood, especially when I have the ability to speak. So I'm not just going to spend my time figuring out ways of how I can be right anymore. That's what I used to do. As a former narcissist, that is what I used to do. I gaslit people all the time because I lacked emotional maturity. And so coming out of that, a lot of it hurts. A lot of conversations I have that deal with me and my actions, they hurt. But they have to happen. They have to happen. Because what would it look like if I just continued doing the same things over and over and over again? Completely dismissing and disregarding everything that's being shown to me. Everything that's being communicated to me. if I am dismissing my own divine feminine energy that resides within me, that allows me to see all sides and articulate them and respect them and honor them, what does that look like? We severely undervalue the very women that support us. I remember having Clubhouse conversations where some of my Clubhouse family, I love them, they talk about everything that they want to do as black women for black men. And it breaks my heart sometimes. Because sometimes I feel like I am the only black man amongst black men who will immediately turn around and truly want and say that I will do the same things for you. I will support you and love you and honor you the same exact way that y'all do for us without question. Black women have always gone to the forefront for us black men. Always. Always. Without fail. And the more of us that actually take up the mantle that they bravely take up for us, the more of us that do that, the more of us that will contribute to creating actual unity. But so many of us, it's not even that we don't want it. It's just that we don't even know it's there or that it's possible because we lack emotional maturity. Like, just imagine if we took time to understand everything that a woman goes through, especially everything that a black woman goes through, as well as what we put them through. Like, just take a moment to imagine that. Imagine that. We've seen the movies, we've seen the shows, we've seen the people in our very lives. Imagine it. Now that you've imagined it, it hurts, doesn't it? Because we would be, as black men, just as emotional as they are. And we'd be able to make sense of so many more things, just like they do. That level of responsibility is not something that a lot of us want. In fact, it's not something that a lot of us can handle. And the thing is, a lot of us don't want it. Because at that point, you are now forced to be accountable. You are forced to be responsible. You are forced to have integrity. And these are big words. These are really big words, weighty words, heavy words. And if you're talking about applying them to your life, in many of our cases, we're in for a very rude awakening. I think about how many of us would benefit from just mastering the many aspects of the divine feminine that resides within us, as opposed to trying to kill it off for the sake of portraying this masculine visage to the world. Imagine what it would be like if we all knew how to effectively communicate. If we allowed ourselves to feel when we are moved. If we looked at the people that we loved the people that we're in relationships with, even our children, if we looked at these people and they looked back at us and they knew without a shadow of a doubt that we were here, we were listening, and we respected their life. Imagine the changes we would be able to see. Imagine the world we'd be able to create. Imagine the communities that would flourish. But because so many of us find being mature in our emotions to be an inconvenience because it involves work, a lot of self-work. It's simply passed over. Because with emotional maturity comes emotional responsibility and accountability. And being accountable means accepting both the positive and negative consequences of our actions. Yeah. Accepting the positive and the negative consequences. It can't just be the positive ones all the time. That's how a lot of learned behaviors, toxic behaviors, become encouraged. Because oftentimes we're looking for that instant gratification. And instant gratification doesn't always lead us to become better people. Especially here in us men. It reminds me of people who are like, pickup artists and stuff like that, who teach men how to do certain things, say certain things, dress a certain way, present yourself in a certain way. Because you are more likely to get the instant gratification of getting with a woman. But the thing is, you're doing this in a way that is manipulating a situation and not taking time to understand and relate to and empathize within that situation. So again, praising all of these traits that make us look and feel and appear more masculine and walking in that, but failing to realize that we are walking as half of a person, half of who we are, because we do not want to give time to understand the feminine sides of who we are. Unless something tragic happens or unless somebody dies. Those are the only times, the only acceptable times when you are able to feel or to be moved by something or someone. Isn't this crazy? Isn't this crazy? Oftentimes we backtrack and we flee or we denounce any claim that seeks to challenge our feelings or our understanding of a situation, topic, or action. And I feel like in saying this, it explains the actions of so many of us. Because we want to get away. We don't want to feel what's being felt. We don't want to experience hurt. We don't want to be challenged. Because to be challenged ultimately could lead to us being defeated. And we don't want that shame. We don't want that guilt. Because in our community, we'll talk about you hard. We will run you through the ground, won't we? And don't say I'm lying. Because I've seen it. I've lived it. I don't want that for my life. I don't want that for my child's life. So being emotionally mature means that I have to stand in the midst of any swirling accusations, any swirling conversations that are happening around me. And to have the peace within myself to respond and not react. Because the last thing I want to do is make myself look like a damn fool reacting to each and everything. Because people are going to talk. Whether they know about a situation or not. We all know it. We all see it. And the thing is, your response is going to carry more weight than your reaction. Because if people know that they can make you react immediately, then they've got you by the neck. They've got you by the neck. That's all there is to it. They can steer your head this way or that way. They've got you by the neck. Like, if more people knew that, if more people actually took time to concentrate on this, we would be exposing all kinds of people who have no business doing or saying what they're doing or saying. Because they don't have all the facts. They're not thinking. Their reaction is all based on our reaction, or what they expect from our reaction. And when you don't give them that, everything about them falls flat. It does. It does. It happens all the time. But so many of us don't know how to conduct ourselves, black men. And so we are being steered in every direction by everyone and everything else, but not our own mind. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Like, this conversation, this type of conversation, man, it needs to be had. And the thing is, I've still got more to say. Like, I've still got so much more to say. So here I am again, deciding right here and right now that there's going to be a part 3. There's so much more to say. I'm just going to make it 3 parts, y'all. I promise. This is not the way that I expected to come back into the podcast atmosphere, but at the same time, like, I want to give this conversation the time that it needs, the time that it truly needs, because it's necessary. It's necessary. And I feel like the more that people have an opportunity to hear this conversation and to engage in these conversations, the better off we can be. Because so many of us, especially black men, so many of us, we fail to see our black women, our women, as full people. Because we only look at them in ways that don't give them the full appreciation that they deserve. We look at them and we expect so much from them, but without any of the emotion attached to it. And it's crazy that we are like that. It's crazy. It really is. And so, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and just let y'all know that there is a part 3 that's coming right after this. And I hope that y'all will tune in next week, because I'm gonna be wrapping all this together. And I didn't want to give y'all a big long 3-hour podcast, because the last few episodes I've had, have gone, well past the 1.5-2 hour mark. And I'm glad that they did. Those were really good conversations. And I'm thankful to everybody that participated in those conversations. And there's more to come. There is. But regarding my solo episodes, I don't want to keep y'all that long. I don't want to keep y'all that long. So with that being said, y'all, that's our show. That's our unofficial yet official part 2 regarding the obscurity of emotional maturity. So again, you all know how to find us. You all know how to support us. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and also take the conversation to our throne room. Links, along with everything else, are in the show notes. And remember, wherever you are, whomever you are, I want to always encourage you to be more introspective and vulnerable with yourself. Know who you are, trust in who you are, and love who you are. I just want to say thank you to all of you who are listening. From the deepest, purest part of my heart and soul, thank you for listening. I've been your host for this part 2. And as always, my name is Tarad Rashan. And I want you to make every effort to find and keep your peace. Till next time.